if you were not taught what you know, would you actually believe in it?
We really need to collectively mourn a world that is not coming back ever.
Life as we knew it is dead.
What we used to consider safety, it it really doesn't exist anymore.
Stop outsourcing safety.
Your only true safety is your connection to source.
Hello everyone. Hello Daniel. How you doing?
Hi, Corey. I'm great. I'm so excited for our next messy middle conversation.
Yes, welcome back, or welcome to the new people subscribers about to watch our messy middle conversation. So we are just jumping right into it. We have a lunar eclipse on the 28th of August, and really from a very practical perspective, we have been feeling that something is feeling off, but not in a way people are maybe articulating that or really pinpointing what is that feeling at the root. Can you help us make sense of what's that feeling everyone is feeling, Daniel?
Well, you know, I would say that it is mourning, it is grieving a collective identity, it is grieving a dying world, really literally dying in front of our eyes, but not allowing ourselves to grieve that, you know? So, as you know, grief has different stages. So, we will see some people who are very angry. We will see some people who are numbing themselves through substances or overeating or over partying or over sexing or whatever. But too few people, in my humble opinion, are actually acknowledging that what they are experiencing is grief. A lot of people, also in the spiritual community, they have this sense of, I don't know what to do, I'm uncertain about my future. Some people even have a hard time really hearing their guidance at this moment. And I think that we really need to collectively mourn a world that is not coming back ever.
That is very powerful, and I think you really are translating the zeitgeist in the sense that obviously if you watching have been seeing obviously on social media, I call it the social media astrology. We see, you know, the fear mongering astrology, and we've been told big things are going to happen this year because the big transpersonal planets Uranus, Pluto, and then less more transpersonal Saturn and Neptune have been moving all together with that famous Barber's basket. And people are saying, but nothing happened. But this is where people are also, in my humble opinion, and humble comes from the Latin humus, and humus means grounded. So I think that also is important to just say that. Uh,
And very
yeah,
delicious.
and very delicious indeed. Very delicious indeed. It makes me want to eat it now.
Yes.
Um, what changed is the whole of us has changed. It's not the world. It's not necessarily like an external change. What we are collectively, individually feeling. And this is where, when you, Daniel, you said about anger, you know, whatever type of addiction that can be, numbing or retreating as well, you know, in being too much of a hermit, is because one is not allowing oneself to really feel and to be guided into that feeling of stillness and to go, oh, that is actually life as we knew it is dead.
It's
And
dead.
we are indeed entering a new paradigm, a new, a new complete way of doing, interacting, and really supporting each other. This is a full moon in Pisces. And the very interesting thing about, just to keep it also quite light in terms of the astrology, though, we have the lunar nodes. The lunar nodes are points around the ecliptic of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the past 2 years and a half, let's say like 18 months, therefore, we had the axis, we had the north node in Pisces and the south node in Virgo. So we were asked to really release the perfectionism and to lean into our spirituality, which we have seen the soaring of the spiritual community. But with that also comes perks and drawbacks. We have seen people being less embodied and less grounded, which is also very Virgo. This is the higher expression of Virgo, is to be disciplined and to have daily routine of earthing yourself or grounding yourself. And we have seen also collectively people wanting to transcend, to ascend, to have shoots of of adrenaline through either breath work or shamanic medicine that should never be used in the mundane world, because those medicines aren't meant to escape or to numb. They were actually meant to retrieve information only one person or few person could not get. So what I'm saying by that is it is the grieving moon. It is the morning moon of a paradigm. It is in Pisces at 4 degrees. Pisces is also the last sign of the zodiac, right? So this is, let's say, the last hurrah of our collective hood and
Yes.
of the, yeah, you want to say something, Daniel?
No, no, go ahead.
And therefore this can be felt even like weeks before. And personally, I really feel that. I really feel the grief. And that's where, obviously, when we talk about the messy middle, Daniel being an identity shift mentor, Reinvention, Rose Queen, and myself, obviously working at the nexus, at the bridge of the astrology of change, but also guiding you regardless of whatever that change might look like. This is, without us wanting it to be, the last dance of the dinosaurs, really. It
Yes.
is the last dance of the dinosaurs, of the patriarchy as we know it. And we're not, by saying that, I'm not saying like wars are going to end and everything is going to be, living in la la land. What I think and feel and have been receiving and feeling it is, and I just want to also like say it, I've been coming back to habits that are not really healthy for me the past month. And I
Yes.
realized that this was like a review almost of, are you really willing to change? Are you really, meaning what, are you walking your talk?
Yeah. It's like
Uh,
it's like a purge.
yes, it is a purging, partial, but it's 90%. So let's call it like, so the total lunar eclipse of the heart. Obviously, we
Mhm.
had the solar eclipse the 12th of August. That was much more a release of scarcity mindset and also it was a prelude of that
Mhm.
of that partial lunar eclipse. This one is much more personal, but also so collective in one way, because it really is closing 2 years and also a 10-year chapter of eclipses also in Pisces and Virgo. So it is not a small one. And I don't know what if you want to add something, Daniel, to that.
What I want to say, what the guides are also saying through me is we tend to really want to move towards the new thing, you know, and it's also it's some kind of human instinct because we want to survive, right? So we always move towards, okay, what can then be better? But if you do that, and I have seen this with clients over the years a lot who, for example, had lost a loved one or whose marriage just ended, you cannot skip over that phase of grieving what you once had and what is now gone. It's very important that you do so. If you don't, and I have seen this, it will come back and bite you in the butt later on. And I really feel that we need this now as a collective to really, I would actually like to say, we need like a collective ritual or collective rituals to close that cycle. And being the age that I am now, I know how difficult it is. So I know what it feels like to be with one foot in the old world and one foot in the new one. And what has been happening over, I want to say, these past 5 years since 2020 is the split is only getting bigger. So let's imagine you're standing with one foot on one island and one foot on the other one. The islands are drifting further and further apart, and the position you're in becomes more and more uncomfortable. And so before you make that one step onto the new island, the island you want to be on, you will have to say your goodbyes to the old one in a proper way. And what Corey, you know, what you have been saying about going into old habits, I have really been asked to look at, you know, okay, you say you trust in the universe, but yet when things get hard, you want to find a job like in the old world. When that part is, it doesn't exist in the same way it existed any longer, right? So my human self has also been looking at finding some kind of safety, or what I considered safety. And this is really the realization that that type, what we used to consider safety, it it really doesn't exist anymore. It might still look like that. And I'm not saying that I want all of the structures to dissolve all at once or that they will. That would be very, very dangerous for us as a society. But they are dying. And the spiritual world has been focusing a lot on the structures outside dying. But this lunation is going to ask you to really feel inside for the structures inside, those things that used to bring you safety, that you used to think, oh, this will hold me, you know, they're not the same anymore. You're going to have to build new ones. And the ones that you're going to have to build, your only true safety is your connection to source, your prime membership to source. But seriously, that is the only thing that's going to be stable, because the changes in the outside world, they're going to keep coming. And we are not saying this to scare you at all. We're not those type of mentors. But we are just saying it because we can feel it in our bodies, and we have been feeling it for a while now, especially in 2026. This year, for me, has been bananas. And I thought that 2024 was a banana year for me. But this year, insane. Change after change after change. Hit after hit after hit. And if I did not hold on to that cord, that source is throwing me that lifeline, I would have long drowned. So yeah, That's my 10 cents on the matter.
10 cents matters. It almost feels like there's it's almost like the number, when you call someone, it feels like, and it's been happening in my life. I've been trying to reach out to some people, and it just feels like the number changed, right? It's
Yes.
like the number of Earth, of whatever you want to call it, has changed, and it just says like it's not just not available on this frequency anymore.
No.
And I've been really confronted with there's no escapism anymore.
No.
It's either you hit the wall or either you sit still, and by allowing the stillness and looking at the darkest part of yourself, will the wall slide so you can walk through.
Yeah.
So you can decide like the gentle option, or otherwise you're just gonna, hit the wall. And that's just like the image I've been given. But that's what this lunar eclipse is really asking us to really stop outsourcing safety.
Yeah.
And some people really think they are safe. And again, it's not fear mongering, but they're safe in their job, they're safe in their family. But this safety, if I can say, I really do believe and sense there is going to be a mass awakening on that lunar eclipse, not in the sense of, oh, I have Prime membership, but more as a wake up call. Mother Earth has been really ringing the number of humanity with the earthquakes, with the fires, and all of that. And it's not like, people are almost saying, like, oh, the new Earth is appearing. We have to decide that. We have to put it into action.
We have to be it.
We have to be it. Can you
Yeah.
say your sentence, Daniel? Because it is
Yeah.
timely.
Yeah. To become her, you'll have to be her. To become him, you'll have to be him.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
he,
Yeah.
she, them. But
I wanted to say something that might really ruffle some feathers. Okay. And I say I'm sorry up front, but I have to say it. So, as you can see, I'm a Black woman. Okay. So, I remember in 2020 when happened what happened in 2020. People all around me who had never been confronted with any way, shape, or form of being, how do you say that? Constricted, or their movements being held back in any way, shape, or form. They were all over the place, and they were really like, "What is this?" And people are controlling my life, and I honestly, I was just chuckling inside, and I was like, "Welcome to my life, dear one. Welcome to my life. This is what a Black person goes through forever." Okay? So I'm only mentioning this because the same people who have forgotten about the whole 2020 episode, and the same people who are now in their bubble of perceived safety, I do not wish it upon you, but for the awakening, I am sensing that something is going to happen that will make you realize that the safety you thought you had was always an illusion. It was always an illusion. So this goes beyond race or whatever. This will go to the level where you understand I am much more than this physical human experience that I have. And this time it won't just be in words, it will have to be embodied that you have that understanding, because that understanding. Because when it is embodied, that's when you will understand that, oh, okay, wait, that means that my safety comes from a completely different place. than I thought.
Mm.
Does that make sense, Corey?
Absolutely, absolutely. The bubble was burst in 2020. However, the lasting effect, if the effects of that didn't really last for a long time, and people went back to normal, or what they think is actually back to normal, but nothing is normal again.
Yes.
And I think that's why also 2026 has seen a lot of people moving through change a lot, because it is a prelude to what's to come. And the next, in the next few years, more will happen. But yes, again, because Pisces obviously is related to spirituality, the it is the last of the axis Pisces and Virgo. Even though we're going to have a last one in Virgo, which was the South Node on February 2027, which is also supporting what we're saying, that it is an ongoing release that
Mhm.
happens in phases, because otherwise that would be too much of a shock. But this is when really, if you are doing a hard base, let's say, job, if you are in tune with yourself and on that journey, then this is your reminder to really look at how you are practicing and coming back to yourself, and to also not use spirituality as another escapism,
Mhm.
because that's also like the release that's happening. It's the spirituality bubble is also going to burst. And one thing I want to say as well is, obviously, because by the nature of our duo, I'm a white Caucasian guy, and Daniel, you're black, and for me that is not even a conversation to me. I've never seen people. I've always met people at the level of depth they wanted to be met at. So for me, that is not a conversation. But if we analyze and look at the spiritual community, or even the fashion industry, or all industries, everyone is going back to the mammoth ways of being. Like the very skeletic people in the fashion industry. In the spiritual community, there's no visibility for the black community. I don't see them enough, and it's not an issue of algorithm, it's an issue at the top.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that obviously with heart. And so this is going to burst bubbles, and it's great, and it's high time.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's all the things. It's great. It's scary. It's intense. It's a lot. It's optimistic. It's pessimistic. It's the whole shebang. And really coming to terms with that, um, by making your life at this time as simple as you can.
Yeah.
Um, Honing down on your spiritual practices, but not as a way of escaping. Whatever spiritual practice you're doing right now, you really have to bring in the body. So the somatic work is going to be extremely important. And whatever you do, keep asking yourself, am I doing this to escape from something? Or am I doing this to actually integrate, to actually work through this big change, or something to help me mourn the world that is no longer there, the person, my identity that is no longer there? Become very conscious of why you make the choices you make.
Yeah, absolutely. Every action that you actually do on your day-to-day basis, really, it will feel unfamiliar until it becomes a practice and a habit. I just want to give a quick example. For instance, I used to do 2 hours ritual with affirmations and all of that, but I thought I was being aware of whilst doing them, but I was not. It was an escape because I knew back then that I used to have a store, that I had to close the store. That became an escape of 2 hours where I had my routine, and that was that. And don't get me wrong, it helped me for the length. It helped me. But recognizing what, to just put into practice what Daniel said, if you are doing a meditation as a chore, if you are journaling because it's a chore, or if it makes you have a shoot of adrenaline because, oh, I've done it, it's ticked off, that might just not be the right thing to do. However, drawing on what you said, Daniel, the invitation is deeper than that. Spiritually, again, to just go back to the roots, because it's going to be so important. Spirituality comes from spirare in Latin, and it means breath. It doesn't mean cuckoo land. It doesn't mean transcendence. It means breathing, being aware of your breath. That is the simplicity Daniel is inviting you to live in your day to day. The practice you can have instead of going into a meditation or without, because people are doing it. Just go and really like wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what do I need? What does my heart need? The heart is at the service of your mind, and therefore your actions are going to emanate from your heart. So then if you do the somatics, a bit of tapping and shaking, ask yourself, why is it I want to do that? Is it to release things? And therefore the heart is at the command, and therefore the mind and the body are all like having a happy, a joy, energetic loop all together. And that is what you're being invited to do. Not to, it can be, looking by the window, if you obviously have mobility restriction, looking at the leaves, or you can be singing in the shower. And so those things aren't grand gesture, but if they're done with the heart, then that's how you're going to transmute. That is, I think, also the new, we're moving from, and that's quote unquote Daniel, moving from the new age to the real simple way of living.
Yeah. So one thing that the last eclipse really showed us, and it's being reinforced with this one, is that performative spirituality is dead. It's done. I just read this article, I believe on Substack somewhere, where they were saying that all of these beautiful retreat centers all over the world, they're empty. The biggest complex, there's no one going to these things, because just wearing your expensive dress, designer dress, and going to sit and drink cacao for the performing, it just doesn't cut it anymore. This lunation is going to, this whole period, this whole year, it is asking brutal honesty of yourself. Why am I even doing what I'm doing? Especially since this being in Pisces, especially when it comes to spirituality. Why are you even doing the things you're doing? Is it just routine to sit every day at your altar? Or does it actually mean something to you? Does it actually resonate with your soul? My guides have been telling me for a while now, and I've been doing this for myself for a while now. We need new rituals. We need to upgrade. We need to make changes within spirituality. And if spirituality has just become another form of traditional religion, then what's the point? What's the point, people? So I think we have to stop for today, Corey, not to make it too long. And to end, I just want to ask, so what is people's energetic loophole with this lunation in your grand vision?
Yes, it's a big one, and there's so much to say. But to close that, how you can find the energetic loophole. If you feel the urge and the feeling to be in silence, I would actually invite you to really sit in silence, whether it's you're laying down on your bed, wherever, it doesn't really matter. I think you're going to find the joy if you really allow yourself to grieve and to really be brutally honest, as Daniel said, with yourself. I think here, the loophole can only come after honesty, after really questioning your beliefs. If you were not taught what you know, would you actually believe in it? If you didn't see it on social media, would you actually be doing it? So the energetic loophole I would find is what makes you feel joy, your child, like your inner child joy, what makes you feel alive. And from that place of, and as I said, I feel like the warmth in my heart chakra, as you feel that joy, when you're sitting, maybe like a heart coherence practice could be a beautiful energetic loophole.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to speak about astrology, because in this astrology, the loophole doesn't come from astrology, and no loophole will come from astrology. The loopholes will always come from your choice to really be brutally honest with yourself and to sit and dance and laugh and cry and choose your way, not the way you've been taught, not the way you've seen, not the way you watched it. That is where the loophole is going to come. And do not minimize how important your part is in the collective evolution that we are seeing unfolding.
My guides want to add to that because you mentioned something about I don't really remember, but something that I connected with being a child. And my guides want to say this. When a child is sad, when it is going through grief, it just, if the child is in a healthy environment, it just allows the grief to move through it. It doesn't fight it. It doesn't go and do something else. It lets the grief, the child will cry and throw a tantrum. But after 10, 15 minutes, that's done. And then there's room again for something else. The child will let out a big sigh of relief, like, and then go on with their business. Now, I'm not suggesting you will need more than 15 minutes with this lunation for sure. You might need 6 months. Yes, but in the bigger scheme of astrology, that's like 15 seconds. Okay? But what the guides are trying to say is if you do not fight the sadness, the grief, and you just let it move through your system, you'll move through it quicker and healthier. And there will be joy and availability to other frequencies and emotions for you on the other side of that. In fact, they will be healthier then.
Really wise words. Thank you. Thank you so much, Daniel, and to your guides. And yes, do not, I think the message is very much that do not fight your feelings. Feel the feels. And without being a shameless plug, should say, if you need guidance, companionship throughout these changes, and whether it is through Daniel's offering with the Rose Queen Reinvention. Daniel is a identity shift mentor and so much more because she has lived many times the messy middle and the reinvention and has to really face herself. So invite you. You have all the details below to work with her. We also have together where we have called like an identity shift session where we look at your astrology with myself for 90 minutes, and then you will have a channeling with Daniel. All the links below. Thank you, Daniel. What can we
Thank you.
wish everyone?
Thank you, Corentin. I want to wish you sweet grief.
Yeah. Let the tears run out. Yeah.
Let the tears run it freely and cleanse you.
Well, we'll see you for another messy middle conversation. Until now, take care of yourself. Thank you.
Stay blessed, dear ones.